Hello, my dear friends, you've reached Elena's bar. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. She'll help improve your fitness, but there's also so much more. 'Cause here are just a few things that this channel has in store. There's bar and there's Pilates and there's belly dancing too. And many styles of yoga, so I'm sure there's one for you. Then watch her practice pianist string from right within her home. She's in such big condition, she'll outrun the metronome. Elena's Bar, Elena's Bar. They're the best place on the internet, the very best by far. It's not just the piano, but the ukulele too. The guitar and violin are even more that she can do. She does so many different things, it's hard not to lose track. I nearly didn't mention that she posts on her Substack. Elena's Bar, Elena's Bar. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. Yeah, controversial topics may be brought up for discussion, but try not to provoke her or she'll swear at you in Russian. And sometimes certain topics can make quite a big impression. So remember, you take part at your own risk and your discretion. Yeah, Elena's Bar, Elena's Bar. The best place on the internet, the very best by far. You might even meet Elena if you're quite a loyal fan. She's got a fixed male cat, but she's so desperate for a man. We've really got it all, then you couldn't ask for more. So sit right back and watch Elena shave a 3 or 4. Elena's Bar, Elena's Bar. The best place on the internet, the very best by far.
Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to Elena's Bar and the Resurgence of Sanity. How are you doing, guys, today?
Awesome.
Good. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, happy 4th to everyone. And yeah, today we continue talking about the topic that we started last week. Last week we were talking about what gives women security, and we talked about the first element from that formula. Let me just quickly show you the formula so that you guys remember what we did last time. So yeah, last time we talked about security, which includes some spanking, applying restraint and discipline and correction on women, then regulating their emotions, right? And today we are going to talk about the second element here. Women want to feel sexually desirable or sexually desired.
So you mentioned spanking. What we're talking about is playful.
Yes.
Playful, okay? Show that you're stronger than her. It's boundaries, restraint, but it's gentle dominance. It's being in control. Okay, that aspect. Now, Elena thinks of, let me put it this way. Men desire to show dominance. Sometimes women actually want to be punished. So in her mind, it might be punishment, but she might want that. In his mind, he's not necessarily doing it for that reason. He's just doing it because he's showing he's stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this leads to security in the woman.
Yeah. So guys, if you have any ideas, thoughts, and observations that you'd like to share with us, please leave a comment in the comment section in the chat. The chat function is available for you. Remember to please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. And yeah, let's dive into this topic, Steve, because you proposed the spanking, sexually desired, and then loved. And we will talk about love next time that we meet. So now we will be focusing on the sexually desired part.
So, do all women want to be sexually desired by their husbands?
I don't
well,
know. They
okay.
say that they're so pure. So
No, it's not. It's not purity.
Are we
I
doing
know.
Madonna whore complex, or are we going?
Mm,
No,
not directly, no.
Okay.
I think because I see this having been divorced in two ways. Women who want divorces do not want to be seen as sexually desirable by the man that they're getting ready to divorce. So not all
Right.
women do.
Okay, let's ask Nick. Did your wife want to be sexually desired by you?
No.
Okay, so we got that covered. It's not always true that a woman wants to be sexually desired by her husband.
Mm-hmm.
No. In fact, the phrase is, "I'm not just a piece of meat."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For
So,
him,
okay,
and then okay. Let me connect here. Usually, if they have a social media presence, yeah, she's not a piece of meat for your husband, but she's a piece of meat
Huh?
for everyone else on social media.
so
Oh.
okay, here's the next question,
When
Nick.
by the okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Did your wife accept boundaries that you imposed? Did she
Usually
accept restraint from you?
No.
Okay, now we get a linkage. If you cannot restrain a woman, she does not want to feel your sexual desire for her because she's in control.
Yep.
She will use your sexual desire for her for control purposes.
Yep.
If she's already got your provision and your children and your paycheck and the house, she gets more control by just denying you. She can't extract anything more from you because she's got the control and she's got the provision.
She's got your basic needs covered. So what more does she need
Hey,
you for, right?
and if she decides to leave, Big Daddy State's gonna take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
Cash and prizes, baby. She don't need no man.
Oh, that statement though, Nick. She don't need no
Yep.
man. The it's right in there. She doesn't need you. So why should she desire you?
Exactly.
So in some sense, we're saying that women are actively choosing men that they don't desire because we've told them by the state, by the indoctrination systems, that they should not, A, they should not want a man they desire, and B, I think it's a lot easier for women to grape men financially and otherwise if they don't.
It's kind of a package here. So feminism teaches women you're equal to men. You can go out, be the boss babe, and all this. Since you're equal, you are not to be subservient. Men are not more powerful than you. Men don't get to make the decisions. So, with that attitude, they can never feel his dominance for the average man. Then, since he's not dominant and they're equal, they don't really have any sexual desire for him, and they don't want him sexually desiring her. And because of that, this dynamic, she really doesn't have respect for the guy. He's just he just brings in the money. Therefore, okay, here's the conclusion. If he loves her, she will not feel his love. And she couldn't care less whether he loves her because she can't feel it. So she needs those. It's a package deal. No restraint, no desire, no love, or it'll be fake love.
Yeah, well, if they convince also that men need women more than women need men sexually.
So what Steve says, no restraint. What's behind the no restraint? It's one of Plutarch's favorite frames. It's not money, muscles, and game. They can help you, but they can't help you keep a relationship. I mean, really, they can't. Eventually, they'll get old.
Well, yeah, they need men to not have frame. Because a man who has frame is going to be disciplining, for one, but two, he's just not going to accept the woman that doesn't desire, that has no desire. It kind of comes across as, well, yeah, I'll fuck you, okay, but then I'll move on to the next one, because when a man simps, he gives up his frame in exchange for that sex. And money, muscles, and game can help you get there, even if you don't have frame.
And once you simp, there's that loot that dries up.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got money, muscles, and game, but if you simp, you're done.
Money, muscles, and game. Okay. If you're on the dating apps, really, it's money and muscles and some good pictures. You got to look good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. You can have a little bit of banter, and it's how you write things. Okay, you can demonstrate your game. But, it's often said in the manosphere that women really all desire less than 20%. 10% of the men are of the caliber that women desire. You know what? Those are the guys with frame, with game, and with, dominance. They don't put up with much from women, but yet women are they're willing to drop their panties for these men pretty easily, a lot of cases. Yeah, he may look good too. But yeah, okay, he has that ability to restrain her. He has that dominance because he has frame. Yeah, he probably has a good body too. He didn't let himself go. That shows he has self-discipline and he works hard for something.
Mm-hmm.
And now, oh yeah, she wants to be desired by that man.
Well, there's these old memes that I haven't seen much in the red pill recently, but they used to float around, and it was it was a cartoon, and there'd be kind of like this nerdy guy, and he'd be walking. He was like walking or standing next to a woman in her cubicle, and he'd go like, "Hey, Mary," and she'd go, "Ew, get away from me." And then Kevin from accounting would walk by. "Hey, Mary, looking good," right? "Oh, Kevin," right? So this is not, we're not saying that, ignore money, muscles, game. And particularly on the dating apps, that's exactly what you're being evaluated on, is particularly money and muscles, because those are things that are easy to see on dating apps. Game, you have to kind of demonstrate through the chat functions, and there's whole aspects of texting game for that stuff, but frame is frame is something that it's going to show up in how you carry yourself, but it's not something that you can like demonstrate to a woman, like here, do this thing. So yeah,
that texting game, you can learn that. don't think it's all that applicable to real life. It is useful if you're out to get selected and meet women and probably bed women. That texting game might get you there, might accomplish that, but then do you really want this woman anyway? And does she want you? You know, the probability of anything long-term coming from these online dating sites just seems to me to be very low.
Well, one thing I will definitely say about texting game is it has no use in a long-term relationship, particularly one where you live together. It's useful in dating. It's useful for bedding women. But if you're in a long-term relationship, particularly where you're living together, just you don't need it. And we were talking with Elena and I were talking with Donovan Sharp here recently, and one of the topics that came up was how does game change when you're in a long-term relationship? Well, free preview. Here's one of the things that changes in a long-term relationship.
I was wondering if women also get spoiled by money, muscles, game, hypogamy insurance that we talked about earlier, guys. You can go watch that separate live stream that we did. Because they don't get to experience men with frame. They are just very rare, right? Not a lot of men are going to have that, especially the ones on Tinder and other social media dating apps. And I was wondering because most men they don't execute upon their frame, so they kind of feed into what women want, into their delusions, right? Okay, I want a man with the muscles, I want a man with a high income, right? But okay, if they show some game,
they'll throw that out the window if some 6 foot tall Chad walks in and has a little, charisma.
Exactly. So I'm wondering because like the men who only want to just bang chicks, right? And okay, guys, if you choose to do that, it's fine. But like this kind of spoils women in a way that they don't get to experience the frame and restraint that many impose on them. Like the moment men start even let's say these guys have frame, right? But the moment they start executing upon it and placing some boundaries, restrictions on a woman, she's like, no, I don't want that. I just want that hypogamy insurance that was happening before.
Right, that's the control.
There's another factor here.
Women compartmentalize it. Okay. There was that game, screw, marry,
kill. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that. Okay, so that's compartmentalization. We'll instead of that K word, we'll use discard.
Discard, yeah. That's
so at least 50% of the men go in the discard pile or category. And the women don't care if they live or not. They just know, get them away from me. And then now we're down to the screw or marry. Okay, that 10%, they're for screwing because they are the Chads. They're not for marrying because first of all, they've learned from experience that these guys are not going to marry them, but they're good fun. And you want to be bent in half and twisted around like a pretzel. Yep, he's the man for you. And then this other, call it 40%. They're the productive, nice guys that look okay enough and they got a decent job. Oh, they're the marrying type. So if Remember, okay, so now it separates the marrying type. You don't want restraining you. You don't want sexually desiring you. And you want to put on an act to get their love, which mainly means resources. You really don't care about their feelings. And so you've compartmentalized. You will use your sexual wiles to control this guy, and then you want him to desire you so you can control him. But independent of that, you really don't want his desire. So that means after you marry him, you might have used all these, seduction techniques. But by God, now you're married and you're not going to walk around the house naked. He might get ideas. Might come up and smack you in the butt because it looks good. He doesn't want that. She needs to train him now that no, we're not doing that anymore. Basically, she doesn't want to feel that from a guy who is a marrying type. She just doesn't want to feel that. But with Chad, would she walk around naked and greatly appreciate him slapping her on the ass? Oh, hell yes.
And who would execute more upon their frame? Because look, for long-term relationship, men require more frame. But if Chads are not interested in committing to this woman, they're just spinning plates, right? And they don't actually need to execute upon their frame. They don't actually need to restrain this woman as much as you would need if you were considering her for long-term relationship.
I disagree. See, the Chads it just got that natural ability.
Okay.
Therefore, they don't care about a woman's feelings. They're willing to do whatever. They don't have to be nice to these women because they get what they want anyway. This next tier, the marrying tier, they've all been taught that, you have to be nice to women. And if you're nice enough, then you'll get sexual rewards and you'll get a good woman to marry. So don't piss her off. No, don't hurt her feelings. You shouldn't hurt her feelings. Chad doesn't give a flying fuck about whether he hurts her feelings, which is why she desires him.
Okay, so I've seen this in real life. When I did this ministry called Re-Engage, there's all about affirming the woman's feelings and never invalidating her and proper communication. I'm like, and do these guys get more sex or less sex, or does it stay about the same? It stays about the same. And they still get cheated on. And the marriages still break up. I mean, it's terrible to laugh at, I know, but it's this crap, it's this bullshit idea that society and even the church has that, you just need it, like Steve said, just need to be nice to her. Just validate her and comfort her. And I'm not saying it's always wrong to do that, but the whole focus is never on standing for your own principles and standing for the truth and telling her no if she's wrong. Because then they know that they can walk all over you. And then, by the way, I have this whole Christian ministry, this Christian thing that I can control you with now because you're not validating my feelings.
Hey,
Elena, which means more? A man always telling you you're great? Or a man that, oftentimes, frequently, occasionally says no? Nope, can't do that. No. And then all of a sudden he says, wow, that was great. You look awesome. You did a great job. Which would you rather get the compliment? The man who always compliments or the man who says no and then compliments you?
The second one. My husband, this is what he does. He doesn't give me compliments every single time. I mean,
because it means something now. Yeah. It's not just perfunctory.
Yeah.
He's just not sucking up to you. When he says it, now you believe, oh, he must be sincere because he's not criticizing me this time.
Yeah. This time.
I want to say something here to the men. Compliments are corrosive
Yeah.
to women.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship too, but compliments corrode women. It's like feeding a child far too much sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the human body need carbohydrates? Yes. And what happens if we give the too many carbohydrates to humans? They inflate them. Exactly, they inflate
Mhm.
themselves. That don't inflate a woman's ego with
Yeah.
compliments.
And see, okay, here, I think that seems spoil women to the extent that women also expect these compliments from the men that they are with. When men are supposed to impose boundaries on them, right? Not inflate their ego, but
It's,
no.
it's
Like,
more sinister than that. It's way more sinister than that, because those women, they still want Chad Chaddington, who's not going to compliment them, who's good. Okay.
yeah,
When they start saying that they want those compliments, they are pre-qualifying the type of man you are. See, this is all about making it easy for women to figure out who
yeah,
you are as a man. If you start handing her compliments, she's going to go, "Oh, I already know what type of guy you are. You're provider boy. So I'm not going to give you Chad Chaddington. I'm going to give you the little cookie crumbs that you need to keep providing for me."
yeah. But it's also corrosive in a way that, okay, let's say she's married, right? She's married, and then she hears constantly the simps. I'm actually grateful for my audience. That thank you guys for not simping, because yeah. But anyway, so we look at the women who have big clout. Let's say they are married, right? And then they expect their husbands to simp for them too, because all of that attention that they get from simps, oh, but you're so beautiful, oh, all of that. I usually ignore those comments, but wouldn't it reset like woman's brain, like instead of complying to her man's lead, that the man that she's with, so that he sets boundaries on her, he actually makes her into a good woman that all of those simps are simping for. But like then they start changing the rules for their man, and then they expect their man to simp, because after all, it just inflates female ego. And if he doesn't restrain any of the damage that simps are doing on her by complimenting her all the time,
He can't.
The compliments equal giving her control
Yeah.
yes,
and feeding her sugar. And that's why she gets fat.
Right. The man cannot control the compliments that other men give her.
yeah,
That's why the recommendation is don't let your women go on social media
that's
in
true.
general.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to say, well, but Plutarch, you let yours go on social media. Well, yeah, I do. I also have access to all of her social media. I see all the simpy shit you guys put in the comments. And frankly, Elena and I have a good laugh about it at your expense when you do. I mean, I'm probably not talking to the people so much in the comments, but particularly her Instagram. Guys, it shows up there. I see it. We have a good laugh at you at your expense, and we move on. I've
Actually, no, you know what? This is why I'm saying that I'm quite lucky with my audience. That like most men, like they don't. And the type of content that I think women are also training, kind of like, especially when you talk about sims, they train their audience what kind of attention they want from them, whether they just want them to compliment them, then the type of content that they're going to post is going to be like vanishing, you know, like, oh, look at me, I'm so pretty, I'm so fond of myself. And then you see the comments underneath those videos and like they are all simps. I've been analyzing content for a while now, you know. This is the reason why I don't put those like pictures on Instagram, because I don't want that kind of attention, you know.
Well,
And then
there are a couple other aspects here. Yes, Elena's on social media. Both Plutarch and Elena work from home. Oh, they don't. There's no kids in the house. So Elena has a lot of energy and time. So, and Plutarch needs to get work done. So, okay, that makes it practical because it keeps her occupied. Second thing is she's not doing something independent of him. He's involved. He's on here today. And then every Saturday, it's either Nick or I. And we're certainly not simping after Elena. So, okay, it's an involvement. And because of his involvement and the involvement probably of Nick and I as well, it kind of keeps the simps at bay.
I'm sure there's a good amount of that going on too. It doesn't keep them all away. I wish that was sufficient, but some dudes are going to shoot their shot no matter what you do. And as a guy, look, you just have to be able to demonstrate the dominance, and then the woman, she's going to have to choose whether or not she wants to eat the cookie crumbs.
You know, it's also how women behave on social media. If they like all of the simpy comments, like they heart them, or like, oh, I really enjoy that kind of comment that you left, she also signals to the simps that she wants that kind of attention from them, even though she is married, right? It's like, I usually ignore these messages. This is why I'm not engaging with them.
It's part of training your audience, but so there's some famous streamers out there that are married, that people know are married, and yet men still simp for them. Yeah, Nick. I mean, you could list off some big names, like Amaranth is married, for example. And people know, like he goes up on stream with her. It doesn't stop them, okay? Because men are going to shoot their shot, and if you're a simp, that's the only strategy you have to do so. Okay, so you know, Steve is talking about how, you know, we both work from home and I'm involved in it. Yeah, so are the guys for these other women. It doesn't stop it. It slows it down some. And look, if you have a woman who's involved in social media at all, there's a little bit of, it comes with the territory. Are you, I hate to say this phrase this way, are you man enough to deal with it? Right?
It's back to frame.
Oh, look, there it is.
Yeah.
You had a question in the chat. I don't know if you
but
answer that.
From Shiv.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Chief.
Right fields, man. Oh, I think George Bruno debunked them a while ago on Twitter.
Well, okay. Here's what I want to say to you, Chief. Christ-pilled men are just simps. What would you do with a simp? Seriously. I mean, one of the questions I would ask is, they're simps. Is there any value in getting tangled up with their simping?
No.
Yeah.
No. All you can do is say, here's the truth, and ignore all their crap and stop caring if they try to throw you under the bus, because that's what they'll do.
I wouldn't even, I've tried to teach people who don't want to be taught. Christ-pilled men do not want to be taught because it goes against things that they want to believe are true.
The descriptors are the problem.
Mhm.
Right. So what do you do? Say, good for you. I hope it's working. I hope that's working for you. And then walk away. Don't engage. Yep. Okay. Well, if that's working for you, keep doing it.
Chief. Yeah, we can't no
Oh.
don't put that one up there.
Oh.
Well, so we're talking about what gives women security, and okay, these men are still simping for these women.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, the women are keeping them around, but these men are just as blue-pilled as any other simp you find in a comment section somewhere. Okay, she is not keeping him around because she gets the tingles from this dude. She's keeping him around because he provides.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh my God. I'm going to throw one out. Question for either Nick or Plutarch, because I could answer. How does this relate to GBD?
What's GBD?
Genuine burning desire.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, if you don't have frame, eventually she might have the initial, genuine burning desire for a tall, fit guy, money, muscles, game, the idea. Then the more she's around him, the more she's going to get that internal ick. Like this guy, he's a fake. Like outwardly he's this, but they realize internally he has no substance.
Oh, fake is a great word. Keep going, but I love that word.
Mhm.
Yeah, so then after a while, it's just gonna say, nope, I'm out, and they'll get the tingles for some other guy that might be the same or might have a little frame.
A man
Or
without
monkey branch.
a man without frame is fake. And you will even hear women talk about particularly Chads, you'll hear them talk about them this way. Now, they don't necessarily use the term fake, but when women will keep going back to Chads, money, muscles, game guys, because they give them tingles. They obviously, but when you hear women talk about, why they had to break up with the latest Chad, it's because typically they were able to see that, oh yeah, he had all of the external markers of a high value man, but he couldn't close the loop, close the deal. He couldn't seal the deal because at some point he gives up that he doesn't have frame. He starts simping for her typically. And if she's looking to consolidate on a resource provider, he might say, you know what? They don't think to themselves this with these words, but in the red pill language, she's going to think to herself, you know what? I'm getting a little older. I really want to have kids, particularly in the Christian community. I really want to have kids now. It's time. And this guy can provide. So yeah, he doesn't give me the tingles, but he meets my needs now. So I will just take him and I will stick with him. And the church says that I have to, that I have to, have sex with him, obviously, to have kids, right? And so they'll
Right. But up to that point, she's showing genuine burning desire for him.
She's faking it
It's
too.
his commitment. Yes, it's
Yes.
fake. So
oh yeah,
I want to
she's
relate
totally
this.
faking it.
I want to relate this back to the red pill guys. Well, Rich Cooper talks about genuine burning desire. I think Rollo has to. Yeah, okay, and I think Paul Bauer does. Anyway, it's a thing. You don't want a woman that doesn't have genuine burning desire. Okay, I agree. But they're using that as, here's how you measure a woman. Does she have genuine burning desire for you? They don't really create the linkage. I mean, they're all about the man promoting himself and becoming a better man and all that. But they don't create the linkage between frame to cause genuine burning desire. So it's not just that the woman has that, it's that the man is dominant enough with frame and the willingness to hurt her feelings and restrain her and impose boundaries, all that stuff, because he doesn't need her. He's living his life, and she wants to come in, fine. I'm not going to butter you up and, soothe your feelings and all that. You can come along if you want. Okay, now that he has frame, now that might enable a woman to have the genuine burning desire. If he doesn't have all that full package, as Plutarch was talking about, her genuine burning desire that she demonstrates could very well be fake.
Yeah.
Women can fake anything for at least 6 months. If they have a pathology of the mental form, they can fake it longer. Okay.
Even
But-
for up to a few years, they could easily do that if they have some kind of pathology.
Well, but it's a lot easier for them to quote unquote fake it longer
Mhm.
if the man is a simp who's been trained not to pay attention to signs of genuine burning desire, because he's going to specifically ignore the warning signs.
And a man, this is also a mistake. We've talked about this before. There's a certain percentage of women that suffer, as Steve brings up, the NPD, BPD woman. You want to talk about that? Anybody? About
Mm.
mistaking GBD for that. And
Particularly amongst
the love
borderlines.
bomb.
Borderline,
Up
yeah.
front.
Love
Right.
bombing, yeah. Mhm.
They're just erratic all over the map. I mean, sometimes emotionally, they might be she might be the most fun you've ever had.
Mhm.
And then a few days later, she's just in a tiz. Her life's a disaster. She's criticizing you and blah, blah, blah. And then she apologizes and says, oh, man, I'm so glad you're here. You are a good man. You're the best man I've ever known. Okay. And she'll play that, but you're going to see the variability. But she's playing you to get what she wants from you. So at this point, red pill guys never, or the simp, the nice guys never had this much attention. She thinks I'm great. I'm being so nice, and she tells me I'm a good man. Oh, I love her. So it's working, and she's using this to control him.
Mhm.
How do you end this behavior in a woman? It's really
Can't.
simple.
You don't. You walk
You
away.
can. It's so damn simple. How do you end her faking genuine burning desire? Put a ring on her finger.
Oh,
Oh, that's a good one, Steve.
oh shit.
Hey, you know what? That sounds like something George Bruno would say.
Yes, it does.
I see. I don't know. I'm just sitting over here going, dear Lord, I'd never be involved with anything like
Okay,
this.
Steve, you need to write that one down.
You do, Steve. Yeah.
How do you end your GBD? Put a ring on your finger. So true.
For reference, Steve is talking about particularly women here who they were always only ever looking for a beta provider, because
Well,
well, particularly with your axis 2 disorders, they're they can confuse themselves. They can tell themselves that actually gives them tingles for a while. Yeah, Nick knows what I'm talking about.
Well, and
Okay.
then the longer a man dates her without a commitment and without giving her the ring, because essentially she wants a long-term security. She wants
Well,
to
women
be
do
the
want,
provider, right?
yeah, women do want long-term security, and they understand that particularly alpha men who have lots of options are not great options for long-term security.
Yeah.
So there is there are multiple goals that women can optimize for, and they will try to tell themselves that, well, Chad Chaddington, he never seems to keep me, so yeah, it's a lot of fun, but I really need to go to church now to find myself a good, yes, oh yeah,
Good husband.
yeah, I need to find myself a good provider husband. And once, and this is what makes the divorce system so evil, and why the church is so critical to perpetuating the divorce system, is because once she has enough provision from the man, she gets the children, the man, oh, he's got resources, she can create some reason why she needs to divorce this man now that the church finds acceptable. And the church's definition of a divorceable man is broad. In the church will basically just take whatever she says as reason and go, yes, ma'am, you're correct. And now she can extract all the provision she needs for the next 18, 20 years.
Yeah, and still find the Chad Chaddington to hang around with.
Exactly. Now she can go back to Chad Chaddington, or she thinks that's what's going to happen.
Well, and I mean, for some time, if she still has the looks, and it might appear that way. And the thing is that her ex-husband will be funding her fucking around with the Chad Chaddingtons.
Mm-hmm.
It's so common. I saw it in so many families.
Well, the one of the points here is that the church itself is not just complicit with this. The church is an active participant in her desire to go back to fucking Chad Chaddington. Okay? Because without the church's stamp of approval on, yes, he really did do this horrible thing, she couldn't leave the church. Basically, I mean, what she's doing is she's leaving the church. She can't leave the man and keep the good graces and approvals of the people in the church. So the church is a necessary component of providing the spiritual approval mechanism for her to do this.
And the church will mostly look the other way if she's going out on various nights of the week, because she's pretty good at hiding that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they're pretty good at saying, well, you know, we don't know if anything happened, so we'll just assume the best. Because she's so Christian and nice on Sunday mornings at church. No, she wouldn't be doing that. And if she is, I don't want to know about it.
Well, don't you know, women are like angels.
I'm not buying this.
Where's that in the Bible? Oh, it's not. Okay, yeah.
The
Yeah, get the hell
feminist
out of here with
Bible
your
version.
unbiblical, simpy bullshit.
Yeah.
No, so what they do, so like what happened to me is, yeah, she obviously lost genuine burning desire. I don't know if she ever really had it. She probably had some disorder. Who the hell knows? Nothing I could do. Counseling, ministry, lost weight, you know, try to impose standards, try to take on more responsibility. Anytime you set a standard down, you're wrong, you're verbally abusive, you're too controlling, blah, blah, blah. Here, let me call the church elders on you because that's not how Christ should love the church, to tell me no and tell me I'm acting wickedly and in sin. And okay, well, all right. Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't matter that, you could file charges like I did. Could they completely rejected him, ignored him? She left me. I didn't see my kids for 8 months, threw me under the bus, had me arrested. Oh, but you filed for divorce. I'm like, looks like she was cheating on me. She beat me, did all this stuff to me, and I haven't seen. She took my kids 1,000 miles away from me, and she's trying to throw me in jail and destroy me, and still's accusing me of crap. Oh, but you were wrong for filing for divorce. I'm like, well, what else could I have done? You weren't doing shit about it.
See, women will push that to an extreme. They will never file for divorce. Well, really, okay,
No, they do.
they
No, they
do.
do.
But like if they, but then it kind of weakens in the eyes of society and in the eyes of the church. It kind of weakens their stance. So they would much rather lead a man up to divorce so that he filed for it, then they appeal.
Explain
See,
this.
I'm such an innocent little angel here. He filed for it.
I'm going to explain this. Would the woman prefer, from a Christian standpoint, that the man file? Of course she would.
Yes.
It makes her look better.
Exactly.
However, the problem is most men are simps. And so they never will. And so at some point, she's going to have to generate a situation where she becomes justified in filing first. The simp won't file first.
Yes.
So what she'll do, women do this frequently. She'll pick a fight and get physical with the man, hoping that she can inflame him so he gets physical with her.
I've had that
Then, he's abusive. Now, men and women's physiology is different. It doesn't take much of a bump on a woman's body for her to have a bruise. My ex would walk by the corner of the bed, the foot of the bed, and it would hit her thigh, and she'd have a bruise. It's that easy. Men don't really bruise that easily. So, yes, anything he does, she will try and cause him to do something. If he doesn't do something, then she will try and invent something, especially if she's a Christian woman or a church woman.
She doesn't have to invent something. She's already crazy enough to do that. Like mine would do is slam her head into crap or slam her arms and fists and wrists into stuff, and she'd get bruises. And people would look at me. I'm like, yep, everybody thinks it's me. I had nothing to do with it.
Wow. Yeah,
and nobody's gonna believe the man.
They instigated, even they started. They start the moment they decide that they are done with this man. They will do all sorts of things, and then the more people they convince in church or elsewhere that he's at fault, that he is such an evil abuser, right? He did all of those nasty things to her. She will get that validation that she's looking for. She will get that support to leave him.
Yes, she will. But is this a happy woman?
No.
Is she content? No. She none of this. Happiness, contentedness, she's never satisfied. So she doesn't want your desire, yet she needs attention. Where did this all go wrong? Because you didn't restrain her. You didn't have the frame. Kind of, if you're a man who is dominant enough to smack her on the ass and she likes it, then she's going to want the desire from you. Then she's more apt to be content, and you're going to get some sex. And then actually, when you give her a hug and say, "You're the best," very infrequently, she will just eat that up. Oh, yeah, restraint. Then the desire happens, and then the love is meaningful. So okay, without the restraint, she's not going to respect you. And as that lack of respect goes on, it's rebellion. The rebellion leads to having contempt for you. And she doesn't want you to desire her. And then she will contrive some reason to get rid of you. And since you're a contemptible man, anything that she does to get you thrown in jail, actually see you, your life ended, not by her most cases, but or to extract all the kinds of any kind of money she can from you, stealing from the bank account, whatever, turning you into a slave, whatever, doesn't matter, because you're a contemptible man. She has contempt for you, utter, total disgust. You are only on this planet to be used for her benefit. She is angry, bitter, nasty, the furthest thing from a happy, contented woman. All because in the very beginning, you didn't have the frame to restrain her. And if at that point you were unable to restrain her, she disqualified herself. And you could have avoided all this crap. Now, I'm speaking from experience because I got married and I was a nice guy and I did everything wrong and I was zeroed out because of that.
Yeah. You didn't do everything wrong, but a lot of stuff wrong.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, as far as this having frame, yeah.
Well, and I want to make a point.
Sometimes, go ahead.
I want to make a point here. There are women out there who they are looking for the simp. Okay? Because they're looking for somebody that they can take through the court system and get resources from. So a lot of times, even if you do these things and you do them correctly, she will actually disqualify the relationship. Like, she'll want you to be Chad Chaddington to her, but she's not going to want you to be provider guy. Okay. And if you want to be provider guy, you want a long-term marriage, it's up to you guys with your frame to qualify her and say, "Oh, you're one of those girls. See ya." Or see you in my bed and then see you out of my bed a few hours later. Right. Like, if I mean, we're Christians, we don't really promote that, but if you're, but for those of you guys out there, like, that's up to you guys to figure. It is on you guys to figure out what kind of woman she is. Steve, you started the show with fuck, marry, discard. Okay. It's up to you women. It's up to you to figure out if your woman that you're seeing is also a fuck, marry, discard.
Yeah. Plutarch has kind of mentioned that, she might be doing this in a calculated manner. No, it's just kind of innate. It's compartmentalized. She doesn't form a long-term strategy. It's what's working now. If she's in the phase of not settling down, she's going to be out having fun with Chads. If she's in the settling down phase, that's in my past. Now I'm this kind of woman, and I'm going to have this kind of life. And she lies to herself that this is going to be where I'm at forever. And now I'm this kind of woman. I'm not that kind of woman. So I'm not going to do bedroom acrobatics anymore. That's in my past. And so now on this wife or this mother mode, married wife mode, and that has a completely different set of criteria. She switched off that sex switch in some
Yeah,
way.
lying is she's lying to herself. That's a good way to put it.
She's
She is
lying.
lying to herself,
Mhm.
but she's believing her own lies.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
hook these women up to a
delusional.
polygraph, they'll pass.
Yeah.
You hook them up, they'll pass. Yeah. Well, that's what I was really trying to get at is, guys, it is up to you to qualify where the woman is, whether or not she's lying to herself, whether, to some extent, I don't care, because it's up to you guys to figure out where she is in her progression, right? Rollo has that chart of, women in their hoe phase, then they have their epiphany phase, right? It is up to you men to figure out where she is in that chart and then use her appropriately, I guess, for lack of a better way to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have a potential answer. How can one recognize a loyal woman? Not loyal. You don't know whether she's loyal. You need to recognize a good woman or a genuine woman. Okay, so in discussions with her, give her your opinion. If she's constantly battling with you and telling you why you're wrong or putting out her opinion as being equal to yours, yes, she's not the woman for you. If you decide, oh, let's go out, we're going to do this, and she's always saying no, she's incapable of being led. You lead. If she follows, okay, now maybe she's a good woman. Is she genuine? Oh, look for, is she accountable? Does she, just in day-to-day conversations, when something goes wrong, does she take accountability for that? That's very rare.
Can they
Will
fake
she tell you about her past mistakes, or is she glossing over those? You're going to have to go into some of the sordid details of her past. And if she's unwilling to share those with you, she wants to put on, she's wearing a mask. And we did a whole episode on that.
Can she fake being accountable for some time? Like she pretends like she takes accountability for her actions.
I don't know that fake is the right word. Like, if they're genuinely interested in you, they might be accountable to some things, and then they can decide later. And I think men have seen this. They'll decide later that they no longer have to be accountable to you. And the church, again, plays a huge role in that by telling them that they don't have to be accountable.
What was her relationship with her father like, and what was her father like?
That's what I would go. Yeah.
See, that's back. We're circling back again.
Mm-hmm.
Did her father impose boundaries on her?
Yeah.
Restraint.
Yes.
Is she used to restraint from her father or by her father? If so, okay, now she's more likely to be accountable because her father restrained her, but yet the father, even though he restrains choices or whatever, he still loves. So she understands she doesn't have to be perfect to be loved. And since she's not perfect, now she's more willing to be accountable. Accountability shows up as humility too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking for traits within her, which can indicate whether you have a woman that's worth keeping around or one that you're best off getting away from, or for the secular people, recreational use only.
Can a woman fake that she had a quick question, Nico, just 1 second. Can she fake that she had a good relationship with your dad?
Like anybody can lie. Eventually, it gets
Mm.
proven wrong over time.
This is almost, I view this, can she fake it? Well, yes,
Mhm.
she can lie, but the only real way she can fake it is if you're not paying attention to the markers of that, like her interactions with her family, right? Like at some point there's going to be a stage where it's like, okay, dude, but how much attention were you not paying to not see what was going on here?
Yeah.
Hey, there's an easy way to answer that. Take your wife and her parents out to dinner. See how her mother behaves towards the father.
Yes,
See
this
how
is what I would do.
your woman
Yeah.
behaves towards her father.
Mhm.
Because in that case, she's not going to be faking it. And the mother's definitely not going to be faking it. You're going to see the raw family dynamics.
Yeah.
Just keep your eyes and ears open. Maybe you can make some kind of challenging statement. Okay, you want to see if they're a feminist, egalitarian family?
Yes.
Just say, oh, I'm a Christian and I believe in male headship and that the man should make the decisions in the house. He has a final say in everything. And then just watch what happens.
Yeah, just watch how your dad behaves, watch how your mom behaves. Yeah.
This is called vetting, and
Mhm.
it's an okay thing to do for your women. Yes, there's some people who think vetting doesn't work. Look, vetting is not insurance against your own lack of frame and game. Okay. Vetting is about establishing what kind of person she is and her background, like with her family in this particular instance. Right. This is about establishing a baseline against which you're going to compare her future behavior. And you're going to learn some things about her family, about how she was raised. These are all good things to learn. This is not to say that you're going to use vetting to create the perfect woman. And you're
Mhm.
certainly not going to find the perfect woman with vetting because the perfect woman doesn't exist. You still have to have frame in the relationship later. You're still going to have to be able to call her out on things when she screws up. But if you haven't vetted her, I kind of have to look at you and say, so you what? Didn't even try? Or you're a closet simp, ain't you?
But maybe he just loves her so much that if he just doubles down on loving her more, it can
Oh,
fix her problems.
here comes the Christ, Phil. Well, what was the Christ pill answer to this exact scenario? Just pray with her
Pray
more,
together.
bro. Yeah.
Just Jesus harder.
Jesus God, yeah.
Right. The Christ pill had a ready-made answer. Oh, well, just you or you just didn't Jesus hard enough. You just didn't pray with it. It was you just didn't pray with her enough. And then they would trot out that statistic that says, oh, if you pray with her twice a day, the chance of divorce goes down from 50% to 25%.
Did you read those? Show her those parts in the Bible that say what she should be doing and how she should behave. Did you read the Bible to her?
Good luck with that.
Well, all I'm hearing, all I can do, I just hear the panties drying up across the Christian world right now at this idea. It's like, yes, you are going to theology her into fucking you. Good Lord. I mean, good Lord in heaven. You actually think that's going to work?
Oh, you mean they're not very good Christians? Oh,
Nick, don't say
mean they
that.
can't obey Jesus?
Nick, don't say those horrible
I
things
do.
about our women.
I will. They're pieces of shit. You are not good Christians. You are evil. You can't even obey the basic commands of God.
Yeah.
You are an abomination. There you go.
Okay, the men aren't much better, Nick.
No.
Actually, most
They're
men that I come
different.
across,
They have different
no,
failings. One of the biggest
they
failings
do.
of men is not being dominant enough to take charge, being the head.
No, and if they do, what do they do? What does the church do to them? Oh, well, that's not how Christ loved the church. So they make it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
True enough. It's okay, but when does that happen? After things have gone bad, he came in as the nice guy. Now he's trying to take on that role and change things. If he comes
No,
in,
that's when the ring gets put on the finger.
yeah, he has to have his dominance from the very beginning, and that becomes the norm. He
Hey,
cannot
I had
impose
that.
order
No,
after the fact.
no. So I had that. Then, like, after the ring got put on the finger, guess what? Oh no, that's not how Jesus loves the church. Here, I'm going to call the elders. I'm going to call the pastor. I'm like, oh, you're a bad man. I'm like, fuck, did I sign up for?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of Christian men who you're asking that exact question. What the fuck did I actually sign up for here?
Well, think of it this way. You got married, and the minute you got married, there was poison injected into the marriage.
Oh yeah.
And the poison didn't come from your wife, it came from the state. Marriage used to affirm a man's power and authority in it. Basically, she belongs to him. He retained his power. The kids were his. Children belonged to him. And now the poison is once you get married, the balance of power has shifted to the woman.
Yeah.
And it's what? What's power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. What did I get that right?
Yes.
Basically,
You
you're
did.
giving her absolute power. So, how many women are going to be corrupted when you give them absolute power?
All of them.
Like Eve was.
Yeah. Well, and this is, I mean, I get very frustrated with this. You know, the people banging on about why aren't men getting married? Favorite topic amongst the females right now. Well, men, why don't men want to get married? Because the only men who are willing to get married right now are the total simps that you can't even see. They don't exist to you. But why would a man want to give up give up absolutely everything? What, so he can simp for you and pay you lots of money? Like, I get that's what you want him to do, and you've set up entire secular and religious systems to make that possible. But then all of you complain about, well, but he's not signing up for that anymore. Duh. And so, I look at Tacticus, exactly. This is exactly it, though.
Oh, sorry. Mm-hmm.
I will not be a marriage useful idiot.
Yep.
And like, okay, people ask, well, why did you marry Elena? Well, she's an import, and imports require documentation, and they require a very specific set of documentation that includes a state marriage certificate. It is what it is. However, there are certain other limitations that are placed on the relationship, and one of them is we don't have kids. Why don't we have kids? Because the poison that Steve is talking about is that kids can be used as leverage.
It's already bad enough just being married, right?
Yeah.
Add kids to the picture, it's exponentially worse.
Is that the voice of experience talking over there?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to write a letter to the judge for my next thing. I'm like, here's what you did historically, here's what's going on, and you wonder why, what you're doing is wrong. Not that I think you're going to listen, but you're just going to keep destroying men's lives, and you wonder why nobody's getting married and having kids. That's exactly why. You destroy men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, by
So-
destroying men, they also destroy the family. They just don't connect.
Well,
the
no,
two
the
dots
families never
together.
get formed. The families,
Exactly.
and we're seeing record low numbers of family formation going on, and
Mhm.
it's a Scooby-Doo mystery as to why to everyone except those of us here in the red pill going, right here, right, the answer's right here, and everyone is working as hard as they can to not see the answer. The state,
Because the
church,
descriptors are the problem.
yes.
The descriptors are the problem.
It's like,
They have to, the modern church, Protestant or Catholic, have these things that they want to believe. They're not true, but it's part of their reality. Therefore, they have to believe them. And when you tell them this is the nature of women, this is how it actually works. Oh no, you didn't Jesus hard enough. Because that would destroy their reality. And here's the big thing. Well, if women are actually the way you say they are, or the way the red pill says they are, well, men wouldn't even want them. That's not true. You can know, as a man, you can know the nature of a woman and in general, and still say, oh, yeah, okay. She's inclined not to take accountability. She's inclined to soothe other people's feelings rather than tell the hard truth. She's going to do this, she's going to do that. Okay, well, I can still love her, but do I need to respect her or trust her? Well, you need some respect and some trust. But do you notice in the secular world now that all these women are saying, yes, men need to respect me?
Yes, I noticed that.
What? That's okay. Ephesians 5 says a man is to love his wife and she is to respect him. The respect primarily goes to the man. A man is not commanded to respect his wife. He's commanded to love his wife.
Well, unless they inverted the order, they inverted the hierarchy. So if now a woman is presiding, like, look, it first comes God, right? Then a man, then a woman, then children and animals. So if they put a woman right after God, then she is holding that power, the dominant position. She demands respect. This is what a strong, dominant, masculine man would if the order wasn't inverted. This makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like what she demands. It's like where she is placed right now. She's out of her place, but it makes sense what she demands because, like if she is in charge, then yeah, she wants that respect. If a man is in charge, then he needs that respect.
She's going to say, these are my feelings. You need to respect my feelings. What the hell I do? I'm just going to tell you the truth. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. Yeah, it hurts your feelings. Oh, but you didn't respect me. So,
Well, for multiple generations, they've been out of their place. They were in charge. They were presiding. So, like, to me, it makes sense what they demand, because in order to rule, you have to have some kind of respect, right? Like in the crooked, broken mind, you know. Yeah, they were never taught to respect a man because they were in place of a man in the hierarchical order. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say here?
it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to have order, but confusion if you invert the
Yeah,
hierarchy.
I know, but yeah.
That suits the confusion suits the feminists just fine.
Mm-hmm.
The feminists remember, what do they celebrate? They celebrate divorces and they celebrate abortions, right? So a guy getting divorced to a feminist is just something to celebrate. A woman getting an abortion is something to celebrate. Okay, so yes, you're like, we as men, and well, you as a married woman, you look at the chaos and you go, ew, I don't want that. I want the order.
Yeah.
They look at the chaos and they go, this is great. We can work with this. We can build the world we want in this chaos. The Marxists actually talk about this. You need the chaos to create the new world order that they want.
Well, look, if they manage to
Their order is
convince,
chaos. So they have no
Yes, but they don't believe that. So
and
they think that they will create a new order, a human order out of this. That supersedes natural law.
Right.
Yes. And
Good
if
luck
they
with that.
create chaos, they can then rule over that chaos and maintain their power.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is why if they manage to convince men that men need women more than women need men, it kind of feeds into that inverted hierarchy too.
How's that working for them right now?
It doesn't, but like, good luck
So,
convincing them.
what are the women saying? Where are all the men lining up to get married? The men decided they don't need you.
Yeah.
So, whatever propaganda, okay, they propagandized the women to behave the way they did, and to men to be weak,
Yeah.
effeminate, nice guys. Yeah, there's probably some propaganda there. The men are not buying it. Now, the younger generations are doing something different, and you cannot propagandize them into lining up to get married. You
Exactly.
just can't. You can tradcon them as hard as you want. And yeah, you'll catch a handful. But for the most part, they're not coming near your church.
This is actually what we talked about with my husband a few days ago, about how sufficient, how effective is propaganda. Right now, we see the drive for the family, right? You marry, you have babies, type of propaganda. Feminism is bad. They can say all of the socially acceptable things, but just propagandizing people without fixing what's broken in the system, it's not going to be enough. It doesn't solve the problem.
We've talked about on our show, we've talked about the particularly Gen Z is the first generation that was raised by a generation entirely propagandized and believing in the feminist ideal. And I'm using the feminist idealism, right? Like the feminists had this worldview. Gen X was the first generation that was completely from start to finish indoctrinated in that worldview, and Gen Z is their children. Okay. And Gen Z is looking at everything that happened to their parents as a result of this feminist indoctrination, and they're just saying, no, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to stay home, play video games. They'll work just enough to stay to play video games. They're not going to work enough to go out, have a family, buy a house and cars and white picket fences and all that. They're just going to work enough to play their video games.
Mhm.
And they're going to be okay with that. And the reason that they're doing that is because they don't want any part of the system that the tradcons didn't just participate in, but that the tradcons created, that the Christ pillars created. Okay? You're not going to convince Gen Z to go out, get married, and have kids, not because they don't want to go out and get married and have kids, but because they grew up in families where mom and dad got married, had kids, and got a divorce, and they lived through that as kids, and they're going, fuck no, I don't want that.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter how much you come in with your tradconisms and say, well, but you need to do this because God says so. Okay. I can give a very long explanation of why I believe on the basis of the Bible that God is not telling men right now to get married. Okay. And have kids, because we are in, if you look at, I think Nick and we mentioned, after a show once we were talking about this. If you go look back and you look at Judges and Kings and Samuel, you see this constant cycle of Israel rises, gets too big for its britches, gets cut down by some foreign nation, loses up to 90% of its population. The diaspora happens. They take their punishment for a while, and then eventually God gathers them back to Israel. And this cycle I lost count of how many times this happened. That's just recorded in the Bible. Okay. So there is not actually a strict commandment that at all times and all places we save humanity from a decimation. And I'm using the Roman sense of that word. Okay. And I believe that God has built systems like what you're seeing right now happening, where Gen Z is looking up at Gen X going, fuck all of that. I'm not doing it, because we need to experience enough pain to get us back to the point where we say, nope, we actually have to change the system to function in a godly way. And here's the thing that's really going to drive people nuts. Gen Z will not immediately just come back and say, oh, okay, you fixed the system, we're going to go. No.
A boomer president is not going to make the decision to fix this problem.
Hell
No. No. And so Gen Z is not going to come back the moment you fix the system. Do you want to know who's actually going to start having kids if you fix the system? Let's say we were to magically wake up and, okay, Steve, yes, you're saying is a boomer president, which Trump is very much a boomer president. He's actually an elder boomer. Okay, but let's say that God descends down and lays upon Trump's heart that he needs to make all these sweeping changes to the system. And tomorrow we wake up, Trump has signed all these executive orders that change the system. Okay. And they stick and they don't get struck down by evil courts. Okay. There's not a Gen Zer alive who will go out and have kids. They grew up in a system that destroyed them. They were literally born, bred, raised in a system where having kids is the most damaging thing you could do to your life. Will some of them have kids? Yes, absolutely. But the first generation that could possibly be interested in repopulating the earth is whatever comes after Gen Z. It's whatever comes after these executive orders are signed. And that's, I'm describing what basically a high order miracle where God comes down, lays his hands on Trump, and Trump completely changes the system overnight.
Right. You make those sweeping changes, you will maybe start to see the tiniest bit of change, trickle of new kids 10 to 15 years later.
Correct.
But hey, what's the fertility window of a woman? Well, okay.
Well, we're just going to say 18 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
18 to what? 30, 35 with modern tech?
Yeah, but it really declines. So you're looking at 15 quality years.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it.
So, yeah, the women who are just turning 18 at the time this is implemented are not going to say, oh, gee, the world has changed. I need to get married right away and start popping out kids. No, they're not going to make any different decisions until it's too late, and it'll be the generation after them that really will.
I'm talking about the men. The girls will still do it, but
The girls need to change their behavior to get married younger. And the men need to be more dominant to take the risk, but the women actually have to follow. The men are not stepping up to lead, and the women are not willing to follow. So it's both have problems.
Primary social behavior is fully encoded in a child by the age of 6.
Yes.
Once a child reaches the age of 7, you cannot change their primary social views. That's why when Steve says 15 years, he is exactly right. Okay. So the Gen Zs who are 5 years and younger today, you might be able to change their primary social behaviors in regards to marriage and family formation.
If you start now, because if they are 5, you don't have much time left.
Right. Well, that's what, this is the high miracle where, God descends and lays upon Trump that he needs to completely re-architect the system. Okay.
Yeah. Here's realistically, those 5-year-olds need to experience the difference. And
yes.
The difference won't actually start happening for 10 to 15 years. So it will be then another 15, 20 years after that you'll actually start seeing some change. This isn't a simple fix here, guys.
Math sucks.
Okay, we're changing. We need to go back to the true nature of marriage and hierarchy. And we are so far off now. And okay, and I've talked about this before. IPA guilt. Why are so many women nuts today? And on SSRIs, infidelity, promiscuity, abortion, that they've been told is okay, but yet they're carrying the guilt. That's the baggage that drives them nuts, figuratively, and depressed, and now they're on antidepressants. You cannot, okay, even if you change the system today, these women are still carrying that baggage. And it's causing really huge mental problems on women, more so than men. Because just look at the use of SSRIs in men over 45, women over 45. Which is higher?
Women, by a lot.
Okay.
Well, SSRIs
Women
generally have a testosterone depleting effect, which actually makes men worse. So,
Well, no, but the numbers of men on SSRIs, that's what it is. What the quantities? It's like what, a quarter to 30%?
Yeah, or even 20%. Because
It's
the chart for women just keeps climbing.
this burden, the messed up nature of women because of their early behaviors and some of this guilt that carries on. Okay, the Christian church is not telling them how to fix this. The loving thing to do is restrain women from doing that, which is what they used to do. No, you're my daughter, you're 16, you're not going with that guy. You're not going out carousing around. You're not doing this and that. It's restraint.
Mhm.
Why? Is that cruel or is that the loving thing to do? Because I know if you're out there, you're going to be making the wrong decision. And it wouldn't be loving to allow for me to allow you to make the wrong decision.
Well, it prevents them from harming themselves. It hurts their feelings, but it actually saves them later.
It allows them to be women that a high value man
Mhm.
could consider. This doesn't guarantee that they will. And women particularly don't understand this. All of what we're talking about in terms of raising young women as children and teenagers is about giving them the opportunity. This does not say that these women will take this opportunity. Most won't, because broader society doesn't it doesn't guide them towards that. You know, a lot of what we talk about can be just described as social guardrails. You know, like there's boundaries on your behavior. Yeah, we understand that children learn through experience, and therefore we need to allow them to experience some things. But there's cliffs on either side of that experience, and if they go over the cliff, they can just experience too much, and it one shots them, to use Gen Z language, right? You know, they can't be that anymore ever. And so one of those guardrails was the man determines who the woman ends. The man approves the men in the woman's lives, in the child's life. And women learn from watching their dad vet men. They don't just learn how to vet men. They learn what a good man is and what a good man isn't. Okay. And the women, particularly watching their dad work, feel secure in understanding that my dad has my back when I'm selecting a potential future mate. Right. So, you know, women, you know, when they get married, the man walks them down the aisle and hands them off to the husband. Okay. There's a continuous chain of security over that woman. Yes, there's also
You could call it a chain of custody.
yeah, you could actually.
Yeah. Numbers 30.
Yes, exactly, Nick. It's a chain of custody. It's, you know, it's a chain of security. But there's this unbroken sort of guardrail that's placed on her life. She goes from the security of dad immediately to the security of husband. This
sounds.
Go ahead.
This sounds so oppressive. But you know, if you're a Christian, just go back to Genesis. The man, Adam, was created first. He had dominion. He was doing just fine, providing for himself, working in the garden, all that. And he was lonely. So the woman was created out of the man. She wasn't created to be his equal, to do the same things he did. She was called the helpmeet, his helper, his assistant. Oh yeah, someone for him to love, someone for him to sacrifice for, even unto, including his very life. But she wasn't created as his equal or his competitor or his boss. So to expect women to do, if you're Christian and you believe that women were created to do everything that men could do, where did you get such a goofy idea?
Not from
There's
the
a
Bible.
song, isn't it? Anything you can do, I can do better. No. Anything that a man can do, a woman can do better. Don't you know?
So, we started out talking about desire. And we talked about a whole bunch of other stuff. But the boundaries and the restraint of a woman imposed on a woman is necessary. And then she will respect you. And then there's the chance she will have desire for you and accept your sexual desire for her. You can't expect to marry a ready-made woman, not restrain her, and have her continue to have sexual desire for you and accept your sexual desire for her. It doesn't work that way.
Well, and I would add that not only does it not work that way, her sexual desire for you comes at the end of an incredibly long chain of other actions, events, processes that were done, not just by you, although in large part by you as a man, but by her family, by the church, by the culture that she grew up in. But look, there is no aspect of our society today that is not infused with feminism at every level. It is not possible to raise a child today without that child being exposed to feminism from literally the day that they can understand basic words. I'm talking like children's cartoons, right? There's feminism imbued in those as well.
Yes.
Okay. So you as a man have to, particularly if you want to deal with women, you just have to understand and expect that and this is why we kind of make fun of the hypergamy insurance folks, because the hypergamy insurance people, money muscles game, without the frame, what they're trying to tell you is that you can buy your way into overriding all of that training that she had for decades before she even knew you existed. Okay. No, you can't. There is more to that woman than just your ability to be attractive enough for her. Okay. You cannot money muscles game pray your way.
Go. That's what I was waiting for it.
You cannot money muscles game and pray your way into genuine burning desire, because he was told from a very young age that genuine burning desire is bad, that she shouldn't have that she should be a strong, independent woman.
Exactly.
And you're right. And so they fight with themselves when they do experience a guy who can do all of those and has frame, and they're sitting there getting the tingles, but they've been told that they shouldn't be getting the tingles. Okay. She's fighting with that even when she is underneath you in bed, shall we say. Okay. She's still fighting with that. This is not something that she's just going to change overnight. And it's certainly not something that is, it's certainly not a problem that is just unique to your specific relationship. This was something that was built in her over decades, of which you have the only control, quote unquote, that you can exert over that behavior is in how you handle yourself. There are women out there who are absolute bitches, and you might have a good time in the sack with her, but you as a man need to be aware that that woman is absolutely and always just terrible. Just
For the streets.
yeah, exactly. For the streets. Like, you should never deal with her anything other than bedroom fun. Okay.
I generally agree in our modern world. But the further off track a woman is, the more force and restraint would be required to bring her back. That's not legal today.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Hey, in the past, there were wars where, the Vikings would come down and, attack Ireland and kill all the men and take the women to be their own. Some of those probably turned out to be decent women, but they didn't like it at the beginning. There was probably a lot of force used, probably more than a bit of SA too. But okay, the women adjusted to that new reality. I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying it's possible that theoretically and historically enough force has been used. That's not possible today. I'm not advising it.
No,
either.
no. One thing we definitely do not want to see on this channel is men in jail because of, that you guys misunderstood what we were saying. No, we do not recommend that men behave this way at all. We are, in this case, talking about historical, what may have been true in the past. And there is evidence that it was true in the past. Don't do that today, guys. But there is a point here. The fact that there is a long list of things that we can't do, and oh look, the women are wilding.
Mm-hmm.
The women are, the relationships aren't happening.
And they're feral?
Yes,
So-
yes. But
So
the
what can
marriages
you
aren't
do?
happening. The relationships aren't
It's
happening
not-
either.
It's not illegal to say no to a woman.
Exactly.
It's not illegal to
Not yet, guys.
hurt her
Wait.
feelings.
True. Yeah.
And if you have some kind of relationship and you know her and you give her a playful smack on the butt and it's all in good fun, yeah, you're probably safe there. But you got to have the frame to do it because she'll like it then. If you don't have the frame to do it, it's very dangerous.
Because she could be remembering that to use against you in the future. Because if you don't have the frame, you're just a simp that she's using.
But if you have the frame, I'd say you're fine. There's little to no risk there. The Chads get away with a lot more shit than you know.
No, absolutely.
So do you guys think this is a question to all of you? Do you guys think that with your first wife or like your second wife, Steve, if you maintained frame with her, would she still be loyal to you?
No.
No.
Possibly.
No.
Because you know
Absolutely
what?
not.
I did spank her and we had sex and it was fun in the beginning.
Mm.
And even after we got married, because again, I imported her. But then she got more religious and yeah, those kind of activities stopped, the playful spanking,
Yeah.
and the sex stopped. And that's when things went wrong. And that's when she had to blame me for some behavioral things in her daughters that I think stem from some baggage that happened, well, around, actually prior to their birth of each of those. There is baggage there.
Yeah.
And there are repercussions that show up in the behavior and the way those children act. And therefore, what's her choice? Blame me for doing something that messes them up, or take accountability for doing something before they were born
Yeah.
that has something to do with their births that might have triggered these things. So it's complicated.
Well,
That's my
and,
answer.
and I agree with both Steve and Nick, because
Yeah.
I do. As far as my ex goes, no, I don't think there was any amount of frame that could work, because you get to a point with women where they are so far gone.
Yeah.
You know, you've heard of the thousand cock stare.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or, you know, yeah, like where it doesn't matter how much frame you have, she's always for the streets. Okay.
In
Mhm.
my first marriage, absolutely, it wouldn't have made any difference because I was the nice guy and never had the frame when I got married. And there was no chance in hell that had I done that, it would have been accepted, successful, anything. I was absolutely screwed.
Well, but
not physically. Well, financially, yeah.
well,
Mhm.
but here, there's a point I want to make here, and we've made this point before, but I want to stress it again. You guys, you can do everything right. And I mean everything.
Yeah.
Money, muscles, game, frame, praying, religion, all of it. I mean, you can do everything right. Yeah, you might.
This moho hypogamy insurance that Tacticus mentioned.
Yeah, mojo hypergamy insurance.
Mojo,
Yeah. Okay. You can do literally everything right.
Mm.
And if she's still for the streets, she's still for the streets.
Mhm.
Because women have agency too. Women, women can be nasty people all of their own accord. Now, what I can't, about the only thing you can blame the guy there is to say, well, you didn't vet her well enough. Okay. That I'll agree with. Yeah,
And
exactly.
Most guys
Chief.
don't know any better. They've not been taught how to vet women, nor the need to.
Correct, Nick. And Chief. Yeah, exactly. You can be a Tom Brady and still get your ass run over. There is no such thing as a guy who all women will just go, oh, I could never do any of that to him. No. All women can do that to all men.
No. A woman can't do that to him. Will never do that to him today.
Yeah, today. Yeah. Well, you guys, I don't know if you saw the news, but Jeff Bezos got married again this week.
Yeah, I saw
the dude loves giving up his money. I mean,
and you know what? He can afford it.
It's true. Well, he can. Amazon really can't afford it, but that's a different problem.
Right.
Well, maybe he signed the prenuptial agreement with this chick.
I don't know.
I wouldn't assume that. Particularly these Xer men, they bought in hard to the she's a perfect angel. Even if they're not Christian, they bought hard into that Christian narrative.
But I think Plutarch has been saying you can't turn a 304 into a housewife.
Correct.
I agree. But haven't you seen Noah?
No, we don't need to bring her up.
Well, I mean, she's a housewife now.
No, she's not.
I know, right?
She's still a public whore, despite TPUSA's recent whitewashing job.
Mm.
And guys, that's all that is. You know, Charlie Kirk is an absolute raging simp. He is not the kind of guy that can fix the problem. He's the kind of guy that can recognize that, hey, we have a demographic problem, because anybody with the intelligence to read a chart and intuit what that chart is trying to say can realize that we have a problem with marriage, relationships, and childbirth. Like, okay, congratulations, you've passed a fifth grade math class, Charlie. But you are not going to fix this problem by simping harder for women. You just are not going to do it. Because simping doesn't give women security. It doesn't.
It doesn't. It can't.
You mean he's not penicillin for the micro chimeric petri dish?
That is his current wife.
Oh.
No, he's not. Okay. Every time I see pictures of his wife, she has whore makeup on. I mean, it is plastered on thick.
Oh, like the eyes. I think I was watching Rollo one day, how he was mocking some of your housewife videos, baking videos, all with the same kind of facial expression as, you know, some of those corn videos that she did.
No, that's not.
Oh, was it a different...
Erica Kirk is not. No, she
okay, it's a different girl. Sorry,
No,
I'm
talking about the roller
still
lady
thinking...
with the icing.
Yeah. That one. I think he was talking about Nola, as far as
No.
Yes.
That's well, he's talked about Nala, but the one that you're actually thinking of, where there was the big brouhaha, that was Isabella.
Oh, cake tits.
Cake tits. Yeah.
Oh,
That
okay.
was
DeLuca or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But all like those, we've actually just listed off 3 different names. Like, there are so many of these TradCon posers that we're sitting here going, oh, well, are we talking about this one or that one? You know, like,
oh, the catfish lady. Remember the catfish lady? Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
But see, this is TradCons. This is the problem you have. There are so many outright 304s.
Reformed, darling. You forgot to put
No. I know. I'm
sure.
not gonna add their qualifiers. Okay. No, there are so many outright 304s who are posing as reformed.
Yeah.
That those of us who talk about this are have to sit here and go, oh, which one are we talking about? Guys, in the TradCon space, that is a indictment of your belief system right there. The fact that we have to sit there and figure out between us which one we're talking about today.
Yeah, I didn't quite.
I wonder when the 1,000 guys in a day or the other ones are going to turn the Reform 304
yeah.
out.
You know it's coming. You know it's coming.
So this points out some of the fakery going on here. These unclaimed women are out there basically flaunting their sexuality to get simps to tell them they're beautiful and to, well, frankly, lust after them, to show sexual desire. Okay, that's the phase they're in. Then you put a ring on their finger and wife them up, and then, oh, I'm not to be used as an object of desire.
But she still keeps.
I am a subject of love.
Yeah,
even though she was doing that.
She was doing
now,
that. And
once in the marriage, she will say, no. You are not allowed to look up my naked body and get any strange ideas. Okay, it's bait and switch. There's switches that are flipped on and off in a woman's mind.
Once a public whore, always a public whore. No amount of simpage praying with her is going to change that. If she has a big social media cloud, chances are she is a public whore. If she is not a claimed woman by the age of 25, chances are she is a public whore.
So we got this problem in China right now.
No, they're a public whore before then, especially now within college. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like it
I'm
was
with
15
Nick.
years ago. It's worse.
Nick.
It's
So-
much worse. Yeah.
So think
Yeah.
about this. We got bridges falling down in China. The rebar wasn't of high enough quality that was put in the bridge. The foundation, didn't go down deep enough. So foundation is like the frame. The rebar is like the restraint. And then you pour the concrete around it, like a marriage. Okay, if you didn't bring the frame at the foundation and put the restraint in before the marriage, can it be fixed? No, it's got to be torn down. Those bridges in China, you can't add restraint after the concrete's been poured. And remember, your wife's mind is like concrete. It's all mixed up and permanently set.
I still remember that video that you shared. The information reaches the female brain, goes all the way. And the male
she
brain
quotes that to me. She quotes that to me.
starts the same, slowly. And then gets all mixed up.
So how does this deal with how a woman feels secure?
Do you think Bonnie Blue feels secure?
She's got money. Lots of guys interested in her.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
think temporarily she does. Temporarily
Yeah.
she does. Not
Oh.
long term though.
Well, they convinced themselves that what is security? Feminism convinced women that security is more money, more clout, and more simps. More,
Attention, yeah.
more independence from one man. So as long as they're still relying on men, they just relying on a bunch of men to fund their lifestyle.
Oh, there it is.
You know, but she doesn't have to be loyal to one man. As long as she doesn't have to commit to one man, then I guess they call it security and independence.
Oh, no, it is security. It is. She has enough money now to live pretty much whatever life she wants. I mean, she just bought a $500,000 Ferrari or something like that. Okay. Now, here's the thing. It is a form of security to have that much money. It absolutely is. Look at what she has to do to get it. She's paying.
They still.
Go ahead, Nick.
Everything revolves around the GPS.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, there is security there for a time because eventually she won't be good looking enough for men to watch her anymore. So this is like so many things when you cast aside natural order. Okay, you can technologically recreate an order for a period of time. Okay, that's what's happening to her right now. She has technologically recreated sufficient order to generate security in her life. She has enough money that she can buy whatever temporary order she seeks. Okay,
That's financial, temporal, security, provisional. Providing a roof over her head, food, transportation, vacations, all the money aspects.
Yep.
Okay, and women can do that.
Yes.
Not all women are going to be able to, but but many do. One thing a woman cannot get is emotional security
Yeah.
without a
Mhm.
man, because woman's emotions are cyclical. She feels whatever she feels, and she cannot easily provide any restraint on her emotions.
Well, maybe that's what the feminists are asking for. They say that we want a man to be emotionally support. They just don't understand. They don't realize what they are asking for. Maybe what they really want, what they really
No,
need is
they want to be
restraint.
celebrated for their emotional volatility
Okay.
because they're out of control emotionally, or they're sad emotionally. And when women get very emotional, oftentimes restraint is it's the answer. It's difficult to do. She doesn't necessarily want it at that time, but if she experiences restraint to help her manage and restrain her emotions, I think Elena would say, yeah, she's appreciative when when she has some help restraining her emotions.
Yeah, it's true.
And that is in large part, not entirely, but it is in large part why it's always temporary. These women go off and they go get into drugs, or they get into some abusive relationship, or some, or they, which I think is the case of Bonnie Blue, is they get so run through that the stress of what they've done to them prematurely ages them, and they just age out of being attractive faster than normal. And so they're, because it is very stressful, physically and emotionally taxing to do what she does and how she does it. Okay. I mean, she already looks really quite old for her actual age.
How old is she?
That
I don't know, and I don't really care to know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. My point is that eventually people are no longer going to objectify her, and she's going to run out of her technological security.
She's
And
26. 26 years
Jesus, she
old.
looks 36
This is
or
why I
more.
wanted
there's a scientific reason for this, which will not be studied or proven.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's the fact that when a man implants his seed within a woman the first time, even if she's a virgin, it affects her immune system. And her immune system kind of attacks that. It riles it up. Then her body becomes used to that, and then okay, no more harm there. And it actually becomes beneficial. But many men, many different seeds implanted within her keeps her immune system riled up continually. And yeah, it has physiological impacts that causes, well, premature aging, maybe. The thousand cock stare, maybe. There's
And in her
something
case,
to
definitely.
this.
Well, and guys, so there is a physical response that has been studied, and it's cortisol.
Mhm.
The stress is, I mean, to do what she does with, the 1,000 dudes, it's very stressful. She's awake for like 24 to 36 hours. There was one, I don't know if it was her or the other girl that she was hanging out with for a while, but literally just crying uncontrollably after they did this interview after she was done with it. And she's just sitting there crying uncontrollably. That's a cortisol response. And cortisol is the stress hormone. And so she's tense and she's, wired, and it literally, her muscles are all contracted. And, you see somebody with a permanent scowl on their face, it's probably because they scowl a lot and the muscles just get worn that way. You can literally warp your own body with stress. And so these women don't look good for very long because they're warping their own bodies with stress. Okay. And so if she has any intelligence about her, which her choice of career suggests probably doesn't, she would be taking all this money and stacking it for when she is no longer attractive enough to do it, so that she has something to live on. Now she's out there buying Ferraris, so we can be relatively sure she's not stacking it. So, there's that. But it is always when humans create a technology, I don't care what the technology is. It could be, the colloquial technology that we use, like cell phones. Government is a form of technology. All technology, all human created technology is transient. It is temporal. And so women can create for themselves security for a time. Okay.
Yeah.
Bonnie Blue has managed to create for herself security for a time, but it will not last. I mean, the internet is full of women who go into porn, make a shit ton of money really quick, and then 3 years later, it's all gone. And now you are a used up whore that cannot pair bond, and you need the church to come bail you out
Mm-hmm.
because no one wants to marry you otherwise. So the church now has to give their imprimatur that you are actually saved. Yeah. Reborn virgin certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That is the role that the church plays in this sordid little game we play. The church is there to whitewash whores and to make and to make them acceptable to men again,
Yeah.
even though they are physically incapable of doing so. And the church is a dutiful little lapdog and does what it's told. And this is why the church cannot fix any of this. The church is simply doing as it's been instructed by its secular masters. The church cannot provide security for women anymore. That's because the church actually used to provide guardrails for women.
Mm-hmm.
The church used to excoriate women for their sexual deviancies. But now the church embraces it. It celebrates it.
Yeah.
The Gurch.
The Gurch.
The Gurch. I think one of our was it it's either Tacticus or Chief of Sitters as the Gurch.
I think it's Tacticus, but I've seen Chief use it too. So
Okay.
So yeah, the church is now explicitly there to not to put restraints on women, but to provide a technological temporal security for women. The church is a pipeline to giving. The church is the whore to tradwife pipeline, and it exists to when women run out of the security of the whore complex.
Yeah.
It is the pipeline that transmogrifies them into something that they can package up and give to the men of the church to say, here, men, it is now you who must provide for the security of this whore because the Bible says that's what you have to do.
Halfway
Right.
house reminds me of a halfway house.
Yeah, that's actually a good analogy, Nick. I like that.
So what happens when women don't get that security from church? Where do you think they would go? Go back to OnlyFans?
A lot of them get it from the state.
Not
A lot of
true.
them do both, church and state.
Yeah. See, the mindset of women, they would much rather be a public whore than a whore, loyal whore to her husband.
I think particularly once they hit their security phase, they're not as interested in being a public whore because so here's a fascinating little conundrum. So if you're a woman, you hit your security phase, okay, and then you get your security. You go to the church, they find a guy for you, you get your security. And then these Reformed 304 spend an enormous amount of time on Instagram posting pictures about how great their life is. They go right back to looking for attention. Because the moment you give women security, particularly feminist women and who are raised and trained in that mentality, they go right back to attention-seeking behaviors. These two things are not mutually exclusive. The more security you give women, the more likely they are to go to seek ever greater levels of attention. Why do you think Bonnie Blue goes and does what she does? Because the more attention-seeking behavior she gets, the more financial security she can generate.
Yeah. So the women who are married, I see, and I did bring up quite a few examples of married women. They are doing some kind of modeling where they are semi-naked. They could even create a separate account, not under the I'm a mommy, I'm a wife type of account, right? So they create a separate account where they are modeling, like semi-naked clothes and like the same name, same person, same face, basically. So on one account, they could have like all of the family pictures, the perfect husband, right? She's a perfect wife, doing all of the ThreadCon stuff. Then on the other account, she's just seeking different kind of attention. Or it could be just one account. It doesn't matter. Like the content could be all mixed up. I've seen various accounts like that, and look, they are still they got their ring, right? But they got their security from a man, right? And this is what you were saying, that the more security they get, the more attention they are looking for, right?
Not quite. The more security they have, the more comfortable they feel looking for attention.
But why are they looking for attention? Is it because they are trying to be independent from the husband that they are with right now?
No.
No?
Not
necessarily. Okay.
Yeah. Not necessarily.
All women, all of them, want to be sexually desired. There's an innate need, a desperate need to feel that. But if they're married to a guy and their persona is to be loved, not sexually, then she'll turn it off there. And she's not getting that from her husband because she doesn't want it from him. That means she's going to go out to try and get it elsewhere. I mean, the trad wives who are modestly dressed and who are touting how trad they are and how they bake things and whatnot. Yeah, they're kind of dolled up. They're looking for not just attention, they're looking to incite sexual attraction. They need it. It's like a drug. And if she doesn't want that drug from her husband, she's still going to want her fix.
And everyone says, particularly in the church, oh God, I hear this all the time. But she's not dressed like a whore. She's dressed very modestly.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
Okay, tards, go look at the comment section. Those dudes in the comment section have completely mentally undressed her.
Yeah.
Okay. Those dudes know exactly what there is.
Like, who is watching your content, right? Who is she making it for? Like okay, these thread wives, right? They don't make content for other women, they make content for threadcon men. This is the threadcon con of
Correct.
porn, right?
This is porn for tradcons, and it is it is not overtly sexual, but it
Mhm.
is in many ways just as sexual.
It
For
is, yeah.
example, my favorite example is Nala. She was making these cinnamon roll things, and
Yes,
she does the exact same dumb thing with her eyes that she was doing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nick down there, right? You know that she was
And the
doing when she,
roller, the roller too.
yes, the roller. Oh yeah, the roll. Oh God, you know all the same actions and stuff that she had done when she was wearing a thong. She's do it, except this time she's fully clothed. So, and here's the really sinister part of this: she's doing all of that, but because it's fully closed, it's okay for Christian men to look at it.
Oh,
See,
It's whitewashed porn.
look at
A
it
man-
and simp for her. Yes.
a man can look at a very modestly dressed woman, and she's acting perfectly. She's, praying. She's humble. Has a head covering, all that. She's thin, got a nice shape, got a sparkle in her eye, a smile. A man can look and say, wow, that's a fine looking woman. And then he can even go, gee, I wonder if she'd be good in bed. he can do that. Women somehow know that even dressed the most modestly, a man can still sexually desire her. And he can give off signals, vibes that, yeah, he's noticing. Okay, it's the same damn thing. But now she has the pretense of the cover to feel that. So it still works. These trad women still are trolling for sexual attraction.
Yeah, they are.
And it works. It does work.
On a different type of audience. This is why I call them in my articles. They are just upgrading the average simpy army of dudes into threadcon simpy army of dudes, or potentially also red pill simps.
No, this is very specific. This is whitewashed porn. This is actually, I'm going to use a term that's really going to piss Nick off. It's sanctified porn. Yeah, sorry, Nick.
Quote unquote sanctified, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of what the stuff that Nala puts out, the stuff that Charlie Kirk's wife puts out. All if you see these Isabel DeLuca, all of these tradcon women that we've been talking about, and we're struggling to figure out who we're talking about. It is sanctified porn. And I know that's an ugly thing to say. And yeah, we're going to get reactions like Nick's reaction, but good. That's the challenge for the church, because for the church, that is what you're doing. The church is literally giving its blessing to pornography. Okay. And it is sanctifying the behavior of these women out here behaving as mattress actresses. Okay. So
yeah, we should go back to those Victorian days where women were actually supposed to wear long dresses and keep their socks on so we wouldn't see their ankles get nasty ideas.
Well, I was thinking burkas. Burkas might work. Well, because
no, then they paint their hands. Have you seen the elaborate painting of the hands and the eyes?
Yes, I have. Guys, it does not matter how you dress your women. The women will come up with a way to show themselves off. Steve was talking about, how women can dress and how men can figure out how the woman looks, even if she's dressed modestly. When I was growing up in the church, there was a woman there. She's reasonably good looking. But she didn't dress, she didn't dress slutty. There was actually 2 or 3 of them. Our church was pretty conservative back when I was a kid. And they wore dresses. The clothes were flattering, but not super form fitting, right? And they wore ankle length dresses to church. Yeah, guys, I still walked around a little bit bricked at church a lot. Like
You see their shape. Well, there's some nice movement there when they walk.
yeah, exactly.
Women know that men are visual creatures, and they are going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I mean, even the most modest women out there. This is one of the reasons I don't post my pictures. Well, I do teach fitness, but but I don't take effort to put separate pictures on my profile.
To some extent, there's only so much. One possible, and this is the Victorian answer, is the woman should just not be on social media at all.
Yeah, just don't be.
That's the burqa Victorian answer. Oh, Tacticus, that's actually a good note. School uniforms, test the limits and try all forms of provocative things within the rules issued. Japanese culture is actually famous for this. World famous for this. As an example, of course, now a bunch of dudes are going to go look up Japanese. No, don't.
I'm curious to know.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't need. I don't need that report from my firewall about what websites you ended up at.
Okay.
Just look at they do with anime, and it tells you everything.
Anime, yeah, that's a good alternative.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's where the famousness of it comes out of Japan, is the anime side. So yeah, you can't really hide it, and so there's a little bit of, as long as she and I mean, even the Bible uses this term, dressed modestly, because I think even back then they recognized that outright hiding it was probably a fool's errand.
Yeah.
But a woman could at least demonstrate that she had the right mentality by dressing modestly.
Well, now what they do, they dress modestly, like trad vibes, right? They dress modestly in comparison to public horse on OnlyFans, right? And that gives them already that advantage, and they know it.
So what you're saying is women figured out how to corrupt the system.
They always do.
Well, this sexual attraction, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
God designed women with the shape they have. He designed men to look for that shape. And when a man sees that woman, that's fine. Now I'm motivated to go meet that woman. And, that's how relationships begin. The man has to approach. He has to see the woman and evaluate her. Yes, and it starts out with Ross. It's noticing her. And also
not all guys have to approach.
Not all guys, but in order for a man and a woman to get together, on a permanent basis, there has to be some history, sexual attraction, motivation for the man to get off his ass and go talk to her. So, God designed it this way. We need to understand that it exists. We can't get rid of it, nor should we. But you have to put some controls and restraints on it and be responsible, both her and the man, for his thoughts, custody of his thoughts. And she shouldn't be enticing things that she ought not be doing.
You mean guardrails? There's what we need. What we need is a return of the concept of acceptable behavior.
Yeah.
Right. It's the Bible says dresses modestly. It doesn't. Now you could argue that a burqa is modest. Yeah. Okay, you can. But what a burqa is also doing is hiding the good natural attraction triggers that are necessary to bring a man and a woman together. Okay? So you know, you are actually harming. Let's say you are let's say you're a birth rate doomer. Okay. Well, if you're a birth rate doomer, you should be all for women dressing attractively as enticingly as they can, because you need as many men as possible to get with as many women as possible if you're a birth rate doomer. Okay. And there are people in our space who are birth rate doomers. Okay. I'm not going to name names here. You know who you are. These same people also have a tendency to rail against porn. Well, okay. Your problem, you're railing against porn, and that's good. Porn is not good. But you're taking away the attraction trigger that you need to solve your birth rate doomerism problem, which really tells you that the problem isn't the birth rates, and the problem isn't with attraction to the female form. The problem is that we have a system that does not support having children. It does not. You can't have it both ways, guys, is what I'm trying to say here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like if you're a birth rate doomer, you absolutely need men and women to be getting together. Well, a good way to do that is to have women dressing enticingly. It's crass, but it'll work. So which is more important to you? And I can hear them now screeching, how could I do this?
So it's either women are dressing more enticingly to get them together with men so that the birth chart goes up, right? Or what's the other alternative, the problem?
Well, the problem is that they're railing against the enticing dress at the same time that they're dooming about the birth rate. Well, if you want the birth rate to go up, the quickest way to do that is to have the women dress enticingly.
The most successful way is to have the women dress modestly, but I can discern her shape. And then I also have to approach and I have to evaluate her other traits, her personality and whatnot, because she's dressed in a way that says, I'm not easy or cheap.
Mm-hmm.
The attraction still happens, but then the man moves into evaluating her on other aspects.
And then he gets told he's a creep. And see,
for evaluating her.
Right. Exactly. Well, because, think about it from her perspective. He still approaches her after she dressed modestly. So you must have, and I have heard this from Christian girls, well, you must have undressed me in your mind. I was dressed modestly. You still approached me and said that I was looked good, attractive, whatever. So you must be a creep because you visually undressed me. The problem, guys, is always with the guardrails that we've set, and it's with the social policies that we've decided on. The guy is the creep now for being a guy.
Yeah, well, if she's dressed modestly, but she's attractive, and in order for her not to think you're a creep, just go up and start talking theology to her.
That might actually work.
No, it won't.
No.
No, but if she's like all like
No, she still doesn't want to talk theology. She'll just think, wow, this guy's weird. I want to get away from him.
Well, weird is better than creep.
Oh, I need to do that more. Okay, let me
Weird is better than being a creep.
No, women
notes.
Taking notes.
Take notes, yes.
Talk theology more. They'll leave me alone.
They actually will. Now nerdy is so women classify nerds as creeps, by the way. They don't distinguish between the two. So
Yeah.
if you demonstrate nerdiness, you will just get called a creep. Nick is writing stuff down over there.
Oh my gosh, Nick, tell us how it goes. I'm so curious to see if it works. I doubt it will, but you know.
They'll probably see through I think. They'll probably
Yeah, they'll see that you're faking it.
They
and that
will
you
probably, yeah.
What they'll interpret it as is actually they'll interpret it as a high quality game, which it could well be. Because you're kind of they'll see you as poking fun at it because they'll see the smirk on your face.
Did you try to simp for them? Did you try, Nick? Did you try to simp for them? Did you try Did you try simping for them?
I don't know. Did I say I was going to do that last week?
You keep saying you can't bring yourself to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I'd be like saying that with the smirk on my face, wouldn't I? I'd probably give it away.
You probably would, yeah.
The problem with being a dominant masculine guy is that you almost can't help but give away that you know, even if you're trying not to, you're just you give it away.
The thing is, you truly, genuinely don't care what they think of you. And so you're not seeking their approval. You have to change your mindset to actually seek their approval.
Bingo.
And then they'll get the ick.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what you have to do.
I don't care.
Yeah, you see, that's your problem.
It's so funny. Like some men are really struggling to get chicks paying attention to them. Some men just try to get rid of them, and they're like, but
trying to get rid of chicks is like catnip for chicks.
It is actually, yes. It's what makes a man so attractive, you know.
Yeah.
Well, have we gone long enough yet, Elena?
Well, I think so. Yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts, bringing it back to attraction and to sexual desire? So basically, what I understood is that if a man is not dominant, if he doesn't execute upon his frame and his natural authority over a woman, she will be disgusted by him, and she won't be sexually attracted to him, and she will not want him to view her as a sexual object.
Unless she's doing it to manipulate him.
Yes.
Then she'll do it. But it's
or
not
unless she's faking.
Desire.
Yeah.
It's fake burning desire.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that's the reason why genuine is in the phrase, right? Because you can fake, women can fake burning desire.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh man, I have seen BPD girls. Oh man, BPD girls.
I think it is genuine though, but they think the BPD girls probably think it's genuine. That's how effed up they are.
Yeah, they might, but they're still faking it. It is when you're dealing with your sociopathy disorders.
They don't think
they're faking it. They just believe that they just genuinely believe that they're not faking it.
Oh, it's the definition also of being delusional. You believe the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, you believe the untruth.
And they can easily pass that lie detecting test because they truly believe what they're doing is true.
Yeah. So genuine burning desire, it has to be genuine, folks. Like you don't get to skip over that word.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Chief. Yeah, this one turned out pretty well.
Yeah, that was interesting. Okay, guys. Well, next time we are going to talk about the final element of the formula. Let me show it to you one more time. Here, media assets. Here, this is deemed illegal. Okay. Okay, one more second. I need to remove this thing for a moment. So we are going to talk about love. right?
Right.
Because women need spanking, women need to feel sexually desired, and they need to feel loved. Okay, so we will talk about that next time. What are you doing on Wednesday, guys?
So Wednesday, we're gonna nerd out a little bit, and we're gonna talk about DEI hires, and I have a couple of preliminary accident reports from a couple of aviation incidents that involved females, and so we're gonna look at that. Specifically, one of the things that I want to point out there is how much effort people put into not talking about the fact that it was the woman flying the plane. But there's other DEI hires that we could talk about too. Secretary Rollins has been in the news a lot lately because she's back pushing her immigration amnesty. That happened yesterday while the world wasn't paying attention. So, but kind of, it's how all the ways women fuck up and get away with it. So that'll be Wednesday. Next Saturday, there will be no Elena show because we won't be in town. We get a little bit of a getaway here.
Mm-hmm.
So, you two boys, you get the weekend off. I have to be her sole provider of word emesis.
Oh, we'll miss you guys so much.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have fun next time we meet in a week, right?
2 weeks from now.
In 2 weeks from now. Okay.
Yes.
So no piano live stream also next week. Yeah.
It's summer, guys. It's vacation season,
Vacation.
and Elena and I live a pretty small life, so these little vacations that we get during summer, they're kind of what we get. So yeah. So yes.
Oh, what were you saying, Darlene? Something?
I was just to say there's no Saturday stream next week.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a Wednesday stream this week. And our Wednesday schedule is uninterrupted. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, well, please go subscribe to the Resurgence of Sanity YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and join them on Wednesdays. Let me share with you our schedule really quickly here. Okay, awesome. So yeah, join them on Wednesdays at 5:45 p.m. Pacific for interesting, controversial conversations, and then on Saturdays at 9:15 a.m. Pacific, join us for these interesting discussions. From Mondays to Fridays and Sundays, join me for the workouts. We'll see how I feel this week. I managed to pull my muscles, so I had to cancel last week classes. I was still exercising, but I had to take it slow. And then on Sundays, join us for my regular piano practice at 11:15 a.m. Pacific. Please request some songs for me to work on. And then you can join me for the cross-training fitness program on Udemy. There are more workouts for you on Patreon. And please go subscribe to my Substack. I occasionally write articles. I summarize the ideas and the main concepts we are talking about here with the Resurgence of Sanity guys and other Red Pill guys. And I'm planning on writing another article to summarize today's conversation. So please subscribe to that one too. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Shiv. Thank you, Tacticus. Who else was here today with us? Let me check. Oh, Fake Human. Great to see everyone. The Smoking Patriot. Clue Studio. Awesome. Yeah, we had some people watching us today. Remember to please like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. And please do share our content. Okay. We are trying to get the truth out there and help people to make better decisions based on the good information. So we appreciate your help and support in sharing our videos with others. And we'll see you all next time. Okay, take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Elena's Barre, Elena's Barre, the best place on the internet, the very best by far.